Okay. Connor Hope is going to hopefully join us soon, but I was ready to start this baby up about
Woo!
15 minutes ago. I
Yeah.
mean, you could have said start the bus like 8 minutes into the second half, honestly. I mean, I was not ready for the lead to blow up like that. And I mean, is there anything other than potentially injuries that could stop this Gonzaga basketball team?
It kind of feels like it. I'm excited to see what kind of a bump that we get from that game, because Auburn got like a crazy bump from that Vermont game. Auburn won by basically 50. They won 94-43, whereas Gonzaga just 113 to 54 against pretty much an equivalent basketball team. The KP numbers are about to be juiced because, god damn, that was a just straight up beatdown. And like every player looked good. That walk-on kid, Aruzmore, whatever, he can hoop too.
Yeah. we got hoopers. I'm sorry.
No few at the end of the game. God damn, he's cooking.
Yo, I just a burner by the name of Chester Holmgren just passed along a dossier to me, so I got a little distracted. I think there's a lot of things we can talk about, and I think we saw incredible performances from a few guys, but I don't think we've seen a bigger performance today than from one Caliph Battle.
Whew.
And you know what? I'm just gonna. Do we have time? Do we have time to read this article that was written for BOAS, Best of Arkansas Sports, with the headline "Caliph Battle's projected output at Gonzaga next season is shockingly low."
Yeah, please. I have time.
Okay. So, not a single player who logged a minute the last time Arkansas basketball was on the court in March is still on the roster as of this writing. Exit Eric Musselman. Enter John Calipari. Some of last year's key contributors ended up being one-year rentals. Trayvon Mark, Caliph Battle. One was an NCAA tournament legend in Devontae Devo Davis, and another was freshman with a promising upside from Little Rock, Layden Blocker. The only player still on the Razorbacks that was there last year is a walk-on from Fayetteville in Lawson Blake. Now Calipari is retooling the roster the way he sees fit, and all those players Musselman brought to Arkansas have gone elsewhere. Let's take a look into our crystal ball and see what their statistical futures may bear out at their new institutions. Connor, I'm reading an article right now. I don't know if you were able to hear before joining, but a beautiful burner account, one Chester Holmgren, passed along this article written by Best of Arkansas Sports, where quote unquote Caliph Battle's expected statistics should be down once he goes to Gonzaga. Caliph Battle heads to Spokane to play for one of college basketball's best in Mark Few, who has built one of the most consistent winners for the last 20-plus years. Gonzaga basketball, which advanced to the Sweet 16 in 2023-2024 before losing to Purdue, returns 4 of its 5 starters. It also adds Michael Ajayi. Battle will obviously get playing time off the bench, but it's hard to see him making near the impact that he did with Arkansas a year ago. He probably will get spot action or play if the Bulldogs starting guards are in foul trouble. Of course, everyone remembers Battle going nuclear at the end of last year after battling some midseason injuries. Maybe that was from Musselman just scrapping what he's been trying to do offensively and just letting the teams play. Or perhaps it was Battle deciding to finally show what he was capable of when the season was already essentially over, as the team was eliminated from any at-large consideration and there was nothing to lose. In that 5-game stretch to close the year, Battle went off against a winless Missouri, the next worst team in Vanderbilt, Kentucky, who, by the way, was awful defensively, LSU, and Alabama. Predicted totals for Caleb Battle. I'm just going to skip to that. 7.6 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and less than a steal a game. I think we missed the mark on that one. I think we got to go back to the drawing boards on that one.
How you queue up that quote tweet, Tuck, because I'm ready for you to cook. That is really bad. That is really bad.
I'm at a loss for words. It's so funny.
What did he have in this game? He had 21 points.
21 points on 10 shots, Connor.
Yeah.
21, 4, 3, and 3 steals.
And he wasn't even a free throw merchant. He only went to the line once when he got fouled on a 3-point jumper.
He didn't take the most shots on the team.
The fact that he, Hickman, and Ryan Nembhard were combined, 9 of 11 from 3?
Oh, I love that we were talking about, this is a front court game if I've ever seen one. And then the guards just cooked for 40 minutes.
Seriously.
Okay, 30 minutes because none of them played with 10 minutes left in the game, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking what was going to keep Ryan Nembhard from getting double-digit assists? A wrist injury and 10 minutes of non-playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my bold prediction is cooked. It's over.
He had 8 assists in 24 minutes. If he plays like his normal 30, it's 10 assists.
It's 14 assists.
When you had your pod with Andy doing your kind of hot take prediction, and yours was obviously the 10 like a double, and his was there were going to be 4 Zags and Braden Huff was going to be in the NBA. Who would have thought that was just going to be true? That's insane.
How is Braden Huff one of the best vertical defenders we've seen this season?
All of a sudden, he's just amazing in verticality
and help side recovery defense.
Yeah.
This is just a funny. This is just a funny basketball team. By
the way, their third center looked amazing tonight too. Looked awesome.
Yeah, Ben Gregg had 10 rebounds and 20. Or are you talking about Diagne?
Diagne.
Oh man. How about the smile on Jinsuk Yo's face when he hit the 10th 3?
He's like I am going to be a legend on campus for the rest of the season. Also,
he was averaging a point per minute, baby.
When Gonzaga was up, when Gonzaga was leading in this game, 49-27 at half, who would have thought that they would have, ended up expanding their lead to almost a 60-point win?
Yeah, seriously.
And again, we tried to hammer this point home during the halftime show. UMass Lowell is not a bad basketball team.
They're good. They're good.
For the level of basketball that their conference plays, they will finish in the top 3 at worst, unless the wheels fall off. I'm kind of worried. I was kind of hoping for Gonzaga to beat this team by 30 points and then have them go to UW and beat UW. But I'm kind of worried that losing by this much shatters their confidence a little bit.
But you had what? You had if I'm doing my math correctly, which I'm not, you had 65 points from the starters, 31 points from the bench, and 17 points from the victory cigars.
Yeah.
Oh my.
By the way, this Vermont team is now rated lower than UMass Lowell for the.
Wait, did UMass Lowell go up? Or
UMass Lowell's at 124, and then Vermont just dipped down to 1. They're 1-3 now. They just lost to Iona today, so they dropped down to 130. But the beatdown that everybody was talking about with Auburn and Vermont, Gonzaga just like won up that pretty significantly.
The KenPom hasn't updated UMass Lowell, to be fair. That we're still waiting on that. So I would love it if that was able to happen while we're still on this call. Like that.
Want to know what I want to see? I want to see like Arizona's giving up 92 points with 6 minutes left against Wisconsin.
Pesky Greg Gard. Greg Gard, he unlocks the doors.
Guys, who's higher rated? California and Boston College or UMass Lowell?
Heading into this game, it was probably UMass Lowell.
Yep. You're talking about like they're the equivalent of like a bad Power 5 program. Like they're better than kind of the bottom dwellers of the Power 5, and you just beat them by 60. Oh, Tuck is having some technical issues.
Sorry. I got so mad because I didn't know how badly Arizona was losing. I thought it was like 92 to like 85, you know, and you're like,
no, they're getting beat.
They're getting cooked.
Oof.
Against Wisconsin. I mean, that's
is there a world where Gonzaga is the best?
Want to know the sad part too? Wisconsin has 92 points. They have 2 second chance points, which means they've scored 90 points on first shots.
Brother.
That's insane.
That's so
well.
wild.
I guess to be fair, they've scored 34 on free throws. So, but still,
that Wisconsin and 90 points is not like should never be in the same sentence.
No.
Oh, Tanji is up to 36.
Bro.
Oh man. What is
What's
Caleb Love?
going on in Arizona?
Caleb Love has 6 points on 12 shots.
Oh,
2 for 12, baby. Let's go.
Oh man. They have Arizona has 6 assists.
6?
6.
What?
Yeah.
So in terms of these like top 10-ish teams, it's pretty much Auburn and Gonzaga that's playing their best basketball right now, right?
If Matt Painter goes to that TKR at the 5 lineup, like they could actually be pretty difficult. I'm not saying that I'd put them in the same tier.
They're not in this category, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But they're playing about as well as you could have expected them to play this early in the year.
Yeah, just kind of looking at it, Tuck, I think you're right there. As far as in the top, like of the true national title contenders, I think you can only say that about Auburn and Gonzaga. Because Kansas, frankly, have not been super impressed with this.
Kansas impresses me the last 5 minutes of basketball games. So that's the only time of the game that they impress me.
Yeah, and then frankly, UConn. I know this, like the score at the end looks good, but if you watch games.
Austin, you can't really say the reason I don't include a lot of other programs. It's like in UConn scenario, they're playing 330 level teams. Like,
correct. But still, like just watching those games, I'm like, I don't know. This doesn't seem like a dominant team to me.
Well, we'll see how good they are against Texas A&M Commerce on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Finally, a real battle.
What a fucking joke. You just won back-to-back national championships and you just schedule like the worst possible schedule.
And the Maui planners knew what they were doing with the way they also seeded that tournament. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the Maui bracket?
No, the Maui's kind of dead to me at this point.
So
this is the last good year.
On one side of the Maui bracket, you have Auburn, Iowa State, Dayton, and North Carolina. And on the other side, it's UConn against Memphis and Colorado against Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew what they were doing. No, they were like, we're going to get UConn into the Maui championship.
Yeah, they. That's what I'm saying. They hit them. They like.
Oh my god.
Did he miss?
Brother.
Oh, Caleb.
Oh man, this is gonna be
This
end of basketball on Peacock, isn't it?
I'm so sorry, Asher Lowe. Asher Lowe is going to get another decade of Greg Gard after this game. Oh man! Oh, this is what a wild time we are having with college basketball so far this season. I think there's more to eat, like more meat on the bone of this Gonzaga game. To be fair, in the second half, they just were completely firing on all cylinders, even with those minutes with Ryan Nembhard on the bench. And I kind of love Caleb Battle on ball. Like,
him running the point when Nembhard went out, like
his passing is so good.
So good.
All three of them pass the ball well.
Yeah. His timing in the pick and roll is very, very good. And he has great touch. He has not made like a bad pass yet this season. I have been incredibly impressed. I'm just waiting for this Ken Palm to hit right now.
I need it to hit.
Are we starting to worry about EK yet? Because this felt like a game where, like, I get the backcourt went off, but he was also 3 of 8.
He was 3 of 8.
Pressing a lot.
He did not look. Even Ben Gregg was fine, but it didn't look like last year's Ben Gregg juiced up. I don't know. But I'm not going to be super worried about Graham yet. But it's definitely it's kind of weird. He has not looked the same. He's just missed bunnies.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worrying?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. A little bit concerning. I'm not going to, it's just, I don't think that's going to last.
For me, it was less that. It was like the 1 or 2 times where it seemed like he just tried to force a shot up. And I
think that's just him just trying to get going, you know? I mean, you could say the same thing about Braden Huff in this game too. It's there was a lot of just I'm just gonna dribble 10 times and back you down and finish, you know?
Okay, but also if you're not gonna double him,
sure.
He's just, but that's going to be a 1.5 per possession every single time.
Bad. I'm not saying it's bad.
I don't even say it's a 1.5. It's probably a 1.75 every single time in this kind of game. So,
Gonzaga.
Sorry, I'm just watching this Arizona game.
Is there a world where Arizona State is one of the 3 best teams that Gonzaga played this season? Is going to play this regular season?
There is a world, yes.
Yeah, I think so. Correct.
Okay. I think when you're looking at resume wins and how it looks on the resume, UConn will be 1. Baylor or Arizona will probably be 2 and 3. So,
or is Gonzaga going to, when we get to the end of the year, is there going to be a team that is in the top 10?
That Gonzaga's played?
Yeah.
UConn. I think UConn stays in the top 10. I think they're clearly one of the 2 best teams in the Big East. I think their schedule lines up well for them to not lose too many games. I expect them to get going a little bit more. So I think UConn will be in the top 10. Where in the top 10, I'm not sure, but I think they'll be in the top 10 at the end of the year.
Yeah, it gets rough after the first 6 teams in the top 10. So I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Arizona, I think, if they're letting Wisconsin do this to them,
what is Gonzaga gonna do?
Big 12 is gonna be rough.
Forget Gonzaga. Good luck against the Big 12.
Yeah.
Ooh.
4 for 17 from 3, 42% from the field. No, the limited amount of Jaden Bradley, your point guard, has 0 assists.
Oh man,
But he's also the only one who can score. That's why he has 0 assists.
By God, that's Kylan Boswell's music.
Yeah.
Like they've hit 20 shots outside of Jaden Bradley.
Allegedly, was it RJ Davis's girlfriend or Caleb Love's girlfriend?
It was RJ Davis's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Caleb Love.
So they're okay. So they're
just ask yourself this: who has more aura, Caleb Love or RJ Davis? That's how I remember it. I'm like, there's no way that RJ Davis is stealing Caleb Love's girlfriend.
Thank you for the love, Eric. I would also posit. So there's ultimately a debt paid to playing basketball with Caleb Love. Either your romantic life is ruined or your season as a point guard is ruined. Balance. There will always be balance. Man. So Texas A&M kind of taking care of business with Ohio State. That's reassuring a bit. Man, like
I feel like Ohio State is more of a flash in the pan. I mean, they just that's just not that good.
I was so dialed in on just Caliph Battle doing fast break wizardry that I'm trying to see how some of these games ended.
When Gonzaga plays, I shut everything else off. I'm not paying attention to anything else.
Yeah.
You didn't have to recap the Villanova Virginia game.
I did not. One of the blessings of just having to talk about Gonzaga basketball if I want to.
They hit 14. Virginia hit 14 threes and just got to 70 points. Villanova backdoored a 60-point performance.
So, how soon until Neptune is fired?
Jesus. Let's see. They'll beat Penn. They have Maryland, Rider, Cincy, FDU. I feel like if they lose to Rider.
You can't lose to Rider.
Is it too late to hop on the Penn State bandwagon?
No, I think that the bandwagon is pretty open.
They're pretty fun.
I've not been able to watch them play, but
yeah, I'm tuning into Penn State games for the next couple weeks.
Okay. They're 6th in pace. That's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, they have Ace Puff Johnson,
Oh yeah,
Puff. Yeah,
Puff.
Nick Kern. Well,
I can't believe this is happening to Arizona. This usually happens in conference play. What the kind of I think what's shocking to me in the portal was I didn't get the guys that Arizona was going after that were centers. Getting Tobe Awaka is really a strange choice to me, and then going with Krivas and Basar, I don't know. It did not make sense to me at all. I'm not sure what Tommy's doing there.
I mean, Krivas has been good. He's just been on a minutes cap. He's been probably their best big.
But you're basically you got in this game, you got 8 from Krivas, 2 from Basar, and then 9 from Awaka.
Yeah.
That's just straight up not good enough. Awaka is a -17 in this game.
Well, yeah.
I know
Love's out of this game, so they're done.
Oof.
I
know.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're trying to replace Balo in the aggregate, and I don't think that works.
No.
But
He just doesn't fit the system at all. I don't know. Never really made a lot of sense.
Connor, I know Austin's answer to this because he's not. I don't know. He'd probably say not a nerd, but are you familiar with the Dune franchise?
I've heard of it.
Okay. All right. I'm the lone nerd on the call.
The Ken Palm stuff did update, by the way. So
Oh.
Gonzaga still stays at 3. They still have the #1 offense in the country. They are now up to 32nd in defense. And UMass Lowell dropped to 137.
So 11 spots.
Yeah. Let's see the efficiency numbers here. Caliph Battle, an O rating of 172. Pretty good. 167 from Ryan, 128 from Nolan, 117 from Graham, 131 from Majai, 125 for Greg. Oh, Braden Huff, tough one, 93.
Oh, man. It was good while it lasted, man.
144 from Dusty, and then Innocenti, 15 minutes, 123 offensive efficiency, baby.
How about that from Dusty? Doesn't hit a 3, but goes 3 of 4, gets himself to the stripe a few times.
Yeah, he got, 3 dunks in that game? Do you guys realize that Innocenti had 4 assists?
I think he assisted on every single one of I think he assisted on both of June's baskets. I think he assisted on a Bang Greg basket. And there was one other one. So yeah, I could see it.
This Fullerton right now by 2.
Wait, what about Fullerton?
Fullerton's up 2 on Oregon State.
Man,
that's okay.
I love a good Gonzaga basketball team. Don't get me wrong. This is a blessing, but I'm gonna watch so many blowouts this season, aren't I?
It's gonna be a lot of blowouts, Doc.
A lot of 11:30 at night blowouts.
It's not promising that Washington State can only score 66 on Iowa either.
Wait, is that game over?
Yeah,
76-66.
Wow, I thought that was going to go over.
Yeah, because Iowa's defense sucks. But
yeah, not great. Not what you want.
That's tough. What did they shoot? They shot 18% from 3. It's not going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a stat line right now. You guys have to guess what it is.
I'm ready.
0 of 2, 0 of 1, 0 of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
On Gonzaga?
No, this is just a random stat line.
Did Mark Trillion lace him up again?
0 of 2, 0 of 1, 0 of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Let me look at. Are they on a top 25 team?
Nah, no.
Do they play for UCLA?
Yes.
Okay. I figured it out. I was like, oh, that feels familiar.
Yeah. Right. We've gotten over oh my gosh. We could have had Dominic Harris.
Okay, you don't have to say the name, Austin.
We already said it. It's already been said out.
Dylan Andrews still hasn't. This is the second game he hasn't played.
Free my man Dylan. Let Dylan transfer in season without any punishment. That dude went through hell, decided to re-enlist, and he gets treated like this. This is why. I don't know. I will never feel sorry for college basketball coaches dealing with the portal, because you know what you did? You went into the portal and got 6 guys that needed the ball in their hands that are guards. Why? For what? You have so many more glaring issues.
They will just demand loyalty and complain about how guys aren't loyal, and then just throw their dudes under the bus and just not give a fuck about them all the time.
Oh.
And then
Also-
they'll just blame that kid.
Also, not basketball related, but can we just talk about how Netflix puts one of the biggest internet stars and the biggest star in boxing for like a decade, in a fight on their service and doesn't think that it's gonna cause a lot of traffic?
Who won? Did that?
No,
that-
well, it's about to start, but the stream's been
I-
crashing in the last like 30 minutes.
Pennsylvania won't let you bet on that game or that match. Yeah, I don't know why. Probably because it's not real.
It's real. Boxing's real.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
What are the odds that this ends in a draw?
I
don't know.
I
My question was, if Mike Tyson knocks Jake out, does he have the wherewithal to like hold him up like Mayweather did with Logan to keep the fight going? Or does he just like spit on him and walk out of the ring?
That man does not care about legacy. I'm sorry, legacy.
I don't think Mike gives a fuck. I don't think he cares about that stuff at all. If he's gonna try and knock him out, and that's gonna be it.
We got the Greg Gard silent assassin tweet.
Oh my God, that's what it is? Silent assassin? Oh no, John, it's got to be Greg Gard. He'll unlock the doors for you.
Was there any other big like things that happened today? I mean, you got TCU didn't look very good against Michigan.
You had the Charleston game winner in double overtime.
Yeah.
You had Florida State confirm yet again that they're in retirement mode.
Yeah. When is he just gonna pack it up?
When is the contract over?
I
think that's your answer.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like Florida State's too busy worrying about their football team
They have a basketball team right now. Princeton lost, unfortunately, to Loyola Chicago. That was a bummer. Ace Bailey is back. Played some decent ball against Monmouth. Trying to see what else.
I can't wait to look to see how many of those shots were at the rim.
You had Derek Queen call out Ben Gold in the pregame or in the presser before the game, and Maryland got beat by Marquette.
Yeah, well, Ben Gold had 5 points.
Yeah.
But yeah. That was Cam Jones just going off. He had 28 today.
Who's going to have more 30-point games, Cam Jones or Kalkbrenner?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Cam Jones.
Probably Cam. But
as soon as our guy Fedor's back.
Well, even without Fedor, you're going to have a Jemiah Neal game. You're going to have a Pop Isaacs game. Like there's more on that, more meat on that offensive bone at Creighton.
Yeah.
You're saying we're not going to get a Ben Gold game?
Probably not.
No. You're saying we're not getting a David Joplin game?
Chance Ross. The only hesitation I have there is how many Big East teams have really good centers that can actually stop him. Outside of what UConn can throw at him, you don't. And then Dixon's good, but that's kind of it in the Big East that I can think of.
UAB lost again to High Point.
Wow, we were so wrong on the American Con. It just turns out Memphis is just gonna be Memphis, and none of the distractions.
They'll find a way not to win that regular season.
I'm just saying it could be the most damning, just drama-filled BS, and Memphis is still going to end up being a ranked team until things start falling apart because of injuries or whatever in January.
Yep. What Memphis did, PJ Haggerty had 23, Tyrese had 21. Yeah, I mean, it's
Tristan's favorite team lost.
No. Oh, I'm talking about.
Duquesne.
I was going to say let's not mention his other.
No, I was talking about Duquesne.
Yeah, they did. They lost to DePaul today.
Yeah.
When does Drew become a special assistant to LeBron James.
Probably within the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know how much Duquesne really cares about their basketball.
Yeah,
Losing. I mean, who else? I mean, do they have anybody that cares besides Tristan?
They
No.
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember the guy's name, but I have a mutual that's a huge Duquesne guy.
Okay, hell yeah. Would DePaul win the A10?
No.
Do you think VCU clears?
I think
Dayton's probably better too.
I would say VCU Dayton. I don't think DePaul beats Loyola Chicago, and I don't think they beat St. Joe's really.
I don't know. I mean, Duquesne's
bad, dude.
I know. They all barely. I know. The only one I can think of is Princeton barely beat Duquesne, and then.
Oh, Princeton lost today.
Let's come on. All right, let's not talk. Let's just.
Xavier, what happened? What happened?
Let's not talk about it.
Okay. But I don't know. In my heart of hearts, I need St. Joe's to just win that league because we need downhill guards to have the supremacy that they deserve this season. We haven't had the whole these guards are just buckets and they're going to win you 25 to 30 games this season. When was the last time we had these wild batch of guards just take over?
Oh, Tuck, we just watched a team that kind of did that today.
Okay. But they also have post players that
sure.
are also
you're talking 2000 late 2000s Villanova. Boy and Kyle Lowry.
Some basketball shorts on your shins kind of level of hoopers.
Yeah. Why am I blanking on who is the center for those teams that played for the Blazers for a second? You know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
I want to say last name was Cunningham, but I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. He was in the NBA for a while, but he was a kind of stretch forward. Let's see. I'm gonna look this up because it's gonna drive me nuts if I don't remember.
I just need. What's that?
Dante Cunningham.
Yeah.
Shout out Scotty Reynolds, Corey Fisher, Dante Cunningham,
Corey Fish.
So I want your thoughts on this. I'm not going to say who posted it. It was posted at Blue Sky. What do we call Blue Sky posts? Just posts?
I'm not calling it skeets. I'm absolutely not doing that.
Is that what they're trying to call it?
No, little perverts are saying we gotta call it skeets, and then everybody's like, we're not calling it skeets, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, what's a skeet? Why are we talking about skeets?
God damn.
And I'm just getting annoyed. Also, I'm guilty of this. I'm over on that app, and I've said a few times made jokes about how Twitter is this and Blue Sky is that. We need to stop. We need to let Blue Sky be its own thing. We need to stop referencing this thing because we also need to stop having a bunch of people go over there because as soon as more people go over there, that place is going to suck. It's going to be bad.
Are you on there like that? I'm not on there.
I'm just doing more musings than anything else. But Connor, what were you going to say?
Okay, anyways, a prominent college basketball writer posted.
Matt Norlander.
Yeah.
Is it Matt Norlander?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it was Matt Norlander.
This is totally complimentary. It finally clicked with me that Robbie Hummel's delivery is a color commentator. As a color commentator, has a lot of Troy Aikman to it. Now, I don't know about you guys. If I wanted to be a color commentator and someone called me Troy Aikman, I'd probably throw hands.
That's so mean. And that also says a whole lot about...
Which is just not true. Robbie Hummel as a color commentator is great.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman isn't. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a reason there is a Manning cast. There is a reason they came up with alternative channels within their vertical brand so that you didn't have to listen to Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. Oh wow! Oh man, I love that. I love that. I Babe Ruth that and just pointed and said that was Matt Norlander, wasn't it? Even before hearing what the take was, all I heard was Blue Sky, and I was like, oh, I know who that was.
Speaking of the Cowboys and their quarterbacks, this fight is happening at Dallas Cowboy Stadium. You want to know what they put up today? Blinds. They put up blinds. Not even they literally put up blinds.
Are they going to take them down before the game? Well, the game this week is at night.
Oh,
so it's going to be the moon, remember?
Yeah, you got to block that moon.
Cooper Rush is going to turn into an American werewolf in Jerry's World.
Oh my god.
30-2 for Ryan Nemhard. I don't know if we mentioned that. 30 assists to 2 turnovers so far this season.
How worried are we about his wrists or thumb or whatever?
It looked to me like his body language was, I can come back in, and the decision was, we're up by 40-something.
The decision is like, we're about to be up by 60. No. And he's like, fuck, I won't get it to average a double-double.
He also has, what, like a week left between games? No, 4 days. 3 days.
Yeah.
I think he'll be fine.
Connor, I asked this to Austin, considering how, like, granted, there's always a way that guys don't show up, and there were lapses in the Arizona State game, but is injury really the only way that this Gonzaga team doesn't live up to their potential the way things are looking?
Right now, yeah. Like, I think the only other way you see that is if they start to get pushed and you see players revert, but like we haven't seen that yet. They got pushed by Arizona State and we didn't see that. So like I think it is probably injury.
Yeah.
But like if we start to see old Caleb Battle come into games,
but it's funny because like old Caleb Battle is like he had no help, so he said, put this shit on my back. Let's go. I'll try to make this work. I don't know. I mean, like there was this conversation that we all had, right, about the defense, and I think it's still worth having. But the skepticism that we had about Michael Ajayi on defense seems very incorrect.
Well, I think the skepticism we had about Caleb Battle and Braden Huff was also incorrect, and Nolan Hickman and Ryan Nemhard. We came into the season going, Dusty Stromer is going to be like the third best defender on this team, and I think he's been definitively the worst, which isn't like, that's not saying much, right? The worst on a good defense is still good, but Dusty Stromer was the bar for us, and everyone else cleared it.
Which is
I asked this before about Braden Huff. Like, when's the point where you're like, oh no, this is real for the defense? At what point during the season do we go, oh no, this is a top, not just like top 30, like a top 20 defense in the country, and like this is a real national title contender? I think we're all there with national title contender, but like defensive wise,
I'm there with national title contender.
Post Kentucky or
no, I'd say even second game of Bahamas. Like,
if Braden Huff doesn't foul out in either of those games, I'm all in.
Okay.
And like that's a low bar.
Second game of the Bahamas, whether it's Louisville or Indiana, will be the best defense since Arizona, or best offense since Arizona State that Gonzaga will have played.
Sure.
And if it's Indiana, it'll also show Gonzaga against a team with a big.
Mm-hmm.
So like if they struggle defensively against Arizona, I'm not gonna have like a huge alarm bells as long as they've played well the previous 2 games.
I think I'm going to be a little bit more, I'm not sure critical is the right word, but I'm going to wait until I think they play a team that I'm like, that's a really good offense. Like, I'm not convinced Indiana is a really good offense. I guess Arizona is, but to me, it's like that Kentucky game. If they have a really good defensive performance against that Kentucky team, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is just a really good defense. But so far, all they've shown is outside of, that second half against Arizona State, that they've been just a really good defensive team. And it seems like Arizona State is a pretty good basketball team.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the last hump for me for this team and like the skepticism that I carried from last season into this season is seeing them against a premier front court player. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest thing left for me. Like, if I don't know, do you consider Umar Ballo that?
No, I think Gonzaga is going to be more a test of Umar Ballo's effort in transition on defense than it's going to be a test of Gonzaga's like front court post scoring.
So I guess who would be that interior scorer that you're waiting to see them play?
I think Amari Williams poses more like difficulties than Umar Ballo does.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Umar Ballo, it's like Graham Ika is about the same size. It's just playing basic post defense, and like when you double and just make sure he doesn't get a ton of offensive rebounds because he's huge.
I don't know if it's more like true bigs but like I think UConn's front court poses an interesting matchup with Caravan and whoever they have at the 5. Maybe not Samson Johnson, but like Terrace Reed and Caravan who can both spread the floor. I think that poses a more interesting threat to Gonzaga's front court than does Umar Ballo.
Yeah, and I think UConn's just bigger too. Like you're playing Liam McNeely and Caravan and Terrace or Samson Johnson. Like they can actually match them with size. Whereas there's not a lot of teams in the country that can like really match Gonzaga, like size positionally. Because in that game, are you going to put Caliph Battle on Liam McNeely? Is that what you do?
You can. Yeah, probably.
Because you're not putting him on Caravan. I don't think you can do that. So you kind of have to play him on McNeely. But, frankly, it's not like McNeely has this like back down game or like really is a downhill guy anyway. So it's not a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like
you have to put a Jai on Caravan. So
you put a Jai on Caravan, you have EK on the 5. There's a world in which I put Caliph on Ball and I just try and let Hickman deal with the size difference between him and McNeely.
Yeah.
Because I think Ball's athleticism could cook Hickman more so than the size difference.
I mean, they're going to have to deal with the same thing, though. Like, who is Liam McNeely guarding? You're going to have Liam McNeely guard Caliph Battle? You're going to have Liam McNeely guard Nolan Hickman? Like, what are you going to do there?
Probably Hickman.
Good luck chasing Nolan Hickman around.
But I still think the biggest mismatch in that one is going to be if he's still starting, even if he's not, but like Mahaney against Nembhard. The issue with UConn is that they
player there.
What?
Quick question: who's the better player, Ryan Nembhard or Aiden Mahaney?
Oh, Nembhard.
Yeah, I know. It's just like they're not in the same universe.
The only true point guard really for UConn is Hassan Diarra, who Hurley loves taking off the bench.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's going to start getting like 28, 30 minutes a game?
I mean, he's already getting more minutes than Mahaney is right now.
Yeah. Like, do you think that Mahaney gets his minutes decreased pretty significantly?
If he so what I said in my recap for Sleepers was that I The good sign for Mahaney was he looked much more confident, much more decisive in game 3 than he looked in the first 2 games. He was still a very confident 2 of 8 from the floor. And you can't keep him on if he's not hitting his shots because he's a sieve defensively.
He only took 2 shots in the second half.
Well, yeah, because he couldn't stay on the floor. What I'm saying is, like, he played the entire first half because he was confident, but he was still missing shots, so Hurley couldn't play him in the second half. And if that continues, right?
They also
like
won
if,
by
if
like
he goes
40.
if he goes another 20 some odd percent from the floor against their fourth sub 300 Ken Palm team, I think Hurley has to make the change.
So they still won by like 40 some points. Like what?
It did not feel like a 40-point win.
I'm just saying, like, if you can't afford to keep him on the floor in a 40-point win,
yeah,
it's pretty damning. It's pretty scary.
I mean, I also think part of that too, like, Hurley strikes me as the type of guy who likes to send messages, and so pulling your
he does.
Yeah.
Dan Hurley's trying to do head games.
Hurley playing mind games. Yeah.
Because like it was a 31-point win against Lemoyne, or 41-point win against Lemoyne. Aiden Mahaney was a +1.
Oh my god!
The next closest player who played more than like 10 minutes was a +12 for solo ball, and everyone else was +20.
And I'm telling you, that first half, if you watch that game, UConn struggled to score. And it was within like 7-8 points until about 15 minutes into that first half. And then they went on then they just, went on a spurt, and then they were up like 20. But it was not a particularly impressive first half.
Mahaney was -3 in 6 minutes in the second half. In a second half that UConn won by 22 points.
Tweet. I feel like this says enough about this Gonzaga game and the defensive efforts. I don't know if you saw the Stephen Carr tweet. Stephen tweeted a couple minutes ago. Gonzaga held UMass Lowell to a 0.65 point per possession. That's their lowest offensive efficiency in a single game since January of 2014.
And if you watched, like, the first half, we were talking about the late run got them over the 20-point threshold. Gonzaga wasn't going to let UMass Lowell score 20 points in that second half, except for the fact that they emptied the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. And it sucked, too, because those UMass Lowell dudes were fighting. They were like, all right, that's enough egg on our face. Like, there were so many times where they got and one calls on them that they just like threw their hands up towards the bench being like, this is bullshit. Like, I hate this. Like, it wasn't a lack of effort or anything like that. They were just getting steamrolled.
About 10 minutes into the game, they're like, what the fuck is this? Because they have not played like a really, really high caliber team since what I think they said on the broadcast, since like 2021 or 2020 or something like that. They haven't played a top 25 team.
Yeah, I mean, if you go the highest ranked team according to KenPom that they played last year was Massachusetts.
Yeah.
The highest ranked team they played the year before was that Rutgers team with B-Ball Paul.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to disrespect B-Ball Paul.
yeah, he's been through enough.
Yeah.
Where Connor, where will you have Gonzaga ranked?
I'm
ready for 2.
So I'm between 1 and 2. I think my head says 1. I think the fact that Auburn won that game against Houston, and we haven't really seen anything to indicate that Houston isn't who we thought they were, puts Gonzaga at 2 for me. Because even Baylor, even though they're undefeated since they lost to Gonzaga, I mean, they almost gave up that game to an Arkansas team that doesn't run offense. So I'd put Gonzaga 2 right now, just purely based on the fact that I think Auburn has the most impressive win, and they haven't shown.
I guess I don't understand how that Auburn win over Houston is more impressive than the Baylor win. Like, if Houston is, let's say Houston is 5 and Baylor's 12, right? Does that seem like relatively fair in like where they would sit? You're telling me that beating a team by what did the score end up being? I mean, Auburn was not leading most of that.
Auburn won by 6 points.
6 points. So you're telling me that a 6-point victory is
I'm sorry, it's 5 points. I'm sorry, 5 points.
5-point victory where you didn't lead most of the game is more impressive
than 38.
Than a 38-point victory over a team that's maybe a 7 and different.
Now the game was in Houston. The game was in Houston.
But
So that's the thing, is I think Gonzaga's the better team.
I do too. I think that I don't know why we're devaluing, and this has happened. This isn't just you. This is just like generally. I feel like that Baylor win has been devalued for whatever reason, and I don't get it. Like, there's just no world in which a 38-point blowout is not like more impressive than winning by 5 points.
Connor doesn't want to be a part of the rat poison, Austin.
Sure.
No, and I think part of it too is just like how much of the 38 points was just Baylor at the end going, "Oh shit, we're not going to win this game."
They were kicking the shit out of them the whole game.
I know, but like Auburn put up 31 points against Houston in 10 minutes.
There is, oh man, I love a chip on Austin's shoulder, and I feel like we get one in almost any conversation.
To be honest with you, it's 1A, 1B either way for me with those two.
Sure,
teams.
I just seem to like shit on Auburn.
So it's not Kansas. Kansas isn't the best team in the country.
No. What Kansas doesn't look any different to me than they did last year. They got a couple other pieces, but frankly, they're going to play through Hunter Dickinson. He's going to do the same shit, and they're only going to get to play one extra shooter.
Is it weird how high I am on Duke after they lost?
No, you're right to be. I think you're right to be.
Like, I almost wanted to like move Duke up after that game.
Instead of let's not play the whole like AP, where do we have to vote them? Just like straight up, when you think about what we've seen so far, the projections for it at the end of the year, when you're looking at true national championship contenders who's making a Final Four, who are the teams, the 5 best teams that you see at the end of the year? To me,
Gonzaga would be at the top of that list.
Gonzaga has shown the most, and I think they have a very high ceiling. Duke is the other one. Auburn. And then I guess you could say Kansas, but frankly, I haven't been overly impressed. And then
it's a precipitous fall off.
I don't know what to say about UConn. Like, I need to see them play some real teams before I'm ready to put them in that category. Right now, there's like those 3 teams are like pretty clearly a tier of their own, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I still like if my man Fedor gets
sure.
eligibility. Like, if you look at the Creighton scores, their defense, when it falls off in the final 10 minutes when they're up by like 35 points. So while it still counts, and it affects their analytics and it affects the final score, like other than that Rio Grande game, like
they've been kicking ass.
Yeah,
I respect.
I want to see Creighton like play a real team.
I respect Greg McDermott not being a net merchant. Too many net merchants out there.
His schedule to open the season's only slightly better than UConn's.
Well, he just knew that the paperwork wouldn't be quick. Getting Fedor's eligibility.
That really haven't embarrassed themselves in the Big East has been Creighton and UConn, and I guess Marquette too. But
Who hurt themselves more tonight, Arizona or Alabama to you?
I think my concerns about Alabama are stronger than my concerns about Arizona, but Arizona's loss is more like
way worse.
Way worse.
Way worse. But you had a different expectation for Alabama than you did for Arizona. Now I go from Alabama's a title contender to are they going to make a Sweet 16? Like, is that kind of where they're at? Because they don't come off as they have so much work to do to become a true national title contender. They've got so much to figure out.
Well, and if you just look at their stats, it's like, they're just going through a shooting slump. But they haven't been creating open shots.
No.
Like, they're taking contested NBA threes because that's all they can get.
Yeah.
Defensively, I understand he wasn't efficient, but I mean, they let Braden Smith take that open elbow jumper all night.
Which is not the shot you want to give him.
No.
And frankly, my concern is how many minutes do you have to play Grant Nelson at the 5? Like, Cliff can't play 40, so you've got 10 to 12 minutes at least every single game where you have to play Grant Nelson at the 5.
Yeah.
It's weird that Grant Nelson isn't what he was in the tournament for 4 games.
Who could have seen that coming?
That's crazy.
Oregon State's going to cover, by the way. Go Beavs.
Cool.
4-0, baby. 4-0 or 3-0, 4-0, undefeated. We'll go with undefeated because I can't remember. I think they played 3 other games. But yeah, I mean, I don't. That Alabama team, like, we talked about how much depth they had, and it's like, cool, but all the guys kind of do the same thing. Like, there's not a lot of versatility. I wonder if you almost have to play Diabate at the 5 and have Grant Nelson guard a 4 and just, like, hope that Diabate can do a little bit more because, man, I mean, Grant Nelson, Jesus Christ, he was horrible in that game.
Well,
love to know what his – I wish I could – I don't know how to search this, but if you could find out what his plus-minus was at the 5 in this game or, like, what his, like, points per possession giving up were when he was at the 5, it was just brutal.
Yeah, I might dig into that tomorrow because you can basically piece those together from the play-by-play.
Well, you can also – let's just see what does he have them lineup metrics?
Or are you talking about Evan?
Yeah, you can kind of piece it together based on the lineup that they run out there and how well it did. Let's see. Okay, well.
Who's the NBA talent on this Alabama roster currently playing?
Maybe LeBaron Philon and maybe Darian Reed, but
maybe. Big maybes in my opinion.
Yeah, like neither of those guys are one and dones in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not like Youngblood is even like a lotto, really. So, like, a lot of the questions that the country had about Gonzaga, it's like, are we sure that Alabama wasn't asked those same questions?
Were you guys worried at all that like run at the end of the year, like projecting forward, was like a fluke at all? Because I don't think that any of us did. Like, there was never a concern for me that wasn't real.
No, I just thought that was like an attempt to poke a hole into something that was easily explainable. It wasn't like they played better in a way that was like their luck increased or their shooting percentages increased in specific ways. It was across the board because they started making threes, which made spacing an actual thing, which made Graham Ike better. And Graham Ike was able to run and play in the pick and roll. And all of a sudden, the best pick and roll point guard in the country was able to utilize the pick and roll. And then all of a sudden, that opens up things. So, no, I didn't buy that.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it made way more sense for Alabama than it did for Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Are we gonna stay on during this Tyson fight?
No, probably. I don't know. I'll probably have to get off soon.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see the Tyson fight? Is Netflix working?
My Netflix is currently working. Tyson is walking into the ring as we speak.
Did he actually need a cane or walker or whatever? Or was that just a bit?
No, he's walking normal.
But yeah, I mean, I think too, like if you look at Alabama from last year, it wasn't like they were bad and then turned it on late. And their performance against top 50 Ken Palm teams was relatively uninspiring.
Yeah.
If you take out the NCAA tournament where they beat 2 top 50 Ken Palm teams, they went 2-1. They lost against Florida twice out of 3 tries. They went 1-1 against Auburn, lost to Tennessee in their only game against Tennessee, lost to Kentucky in their only game against Kentucky. Or no, they went 0-2 against Tennessee, lost to Kentucky in their only game against Kentucky. Lost to Purdue, lost to Creighton, lost to Arizona, lost to Clemson, lost to Ohio State, beat Indiana State, beat Mississippi State. So,
yeah, I think that Alabama, unless there's a massive change in the way that they can create shots, I'm not going to believe in that. And frankly, it's crazy, but I mean, Auburn seems very clearly the front runner to win the SEC at this point.
Well, Alabama's just too high. Alabama is who they always are. They could make the Final Four losing the first weekend.
Yeah. I mean, same with Auburn, but it's like
I think Auburn's is a little bit stickier because I think they're playing better.
Yeah, but they also have a history of losing in the first round.
Right. No, I get
that. The one thing that we haven't talked about with this Auburn team, I mean, we have in like DMs, but I don't think like publicly a lot of people are talking about this. Bruce's rotations are dumb. They're dumb. And what did we see from Tahad Pettiford in the game after the Houston game? He played the same minutes that he played before the Houston game.
You got to make him your lead guard.
Like, as long as JP Pegues is your lead guard, I do not think that Auburn ceiling is going to be met.
Yeah.
If he continues to run 9 guys out, 10 guys out, that just screams waste of talent. Also,
Antonio Brown has a more consistent stream going right now than Netflix does.
Oh my god. Legitimately, I turned on this Netflix fight and like all of the branding feels like a cell phone company that you pay like a first of the month, like you get a certain amount of minutes, and it's like owned by an energy drink company that is only for men. Like it just feels like the most toxic branding of shit I've ever seen.
They're literally sponsored by a law firm. God, Iron Mike looks old.
Dude, he's psychotic.
Dude, I kind of get the vibe because of like, you know, how like ferocious he says he is and everything like that. This feels like the Tiger at the LSU football game. Like it's like, don't do that to him. He doesn't need to do this. Don't trot him out to do this pony show again. Let him be.
But like, who needs this win more? Because like Tyson doesn't want to lose to Jake Paul, but Jake Paul's fighting a 58-year-old.
Yeah.
There's no way that Jake Paul loses this fight.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
The fact that we're saying I don't know is
know.
insane.
Come on, Mike.
I need Mike to win. I want Mike to win.
If this goes the distance, Jake Paul wins. But like,
we're getting a draw. Is what we're getting
in the redemption arc of Mike Tyson. I believe in it.
It's also cool that
taught me was his basically. It's like my man has been going to mass and he's been thinking about death, and he's like, I need to go out on top with redemption, and then I'm out. You know, I believe. How disappointed are you guys going to be if Jake Paul does actually win?
Like, I'm expecting him to win,
but that doesn't mean you won't be disappointed.
Oh jeez.
Oh god.
Dude,
this is riveting. This is a riveting stream now. It's just all of us looking off screen, going, "Oh god."
Going, "Oh god, what's gonna happen?"
Oh man.
Mike looks good.
Mike looks good.
Yeah. Fuck him up, Mike. I just watched Snatch last night to get prepared for this, so. One shot.
Oh man.
Well, I think this is, I don't know how appealing it is to get side profiles of all of us watching our separate TV screens. So we are going to end this post-game chat. We'll have a preview up for San Diego State in the next couple days. The game's on Monday. And then, we will be previewing the Bahamas. I'm going to be out of the country celebrating Revolution Day in Mexico City, apparently. Found out that's going on while I'm down there. So who knows? I may be a brown shirt by the time you hear back from me. Yeah, exactly. Stay tuned. Thanks so much for listening, guys. And what a dub.